The Galactic Council chamber hummed with quiet deliberation. Across the vast expanse of stars, decisions were made that would change countless lives. Today, a small, seemingly insignificant group was sentenced, not to death by firing squad or disease, but to exile on Varnak 7, a planet so brutal it bore the dreaded classification, Class 0 Deathworld. No species had ever returned from Varnak. Its atmosphere was a volatile mix of corrosive gases, its terrain a labyrinth of shifting crystal forests and acid lakes. Violent storms swept across its surface, and strange, unseen forces distorted time and space near its poles. The Council believed sending humans there was a mercy, remove them from civilized space, and let nature take its course. The humans themselves were a mixed group: scientists, engineers, diplomats, even children born during long voyages. They were convicted of no crimes beyond being too unpredictable and too dangerous to trust. For generations, the galaxy had debated humanity's erratic nature, their defiance of norms, and their stubborn will to survive. The Council's verdict was final. The transport ship pierced through the clouded atmosphere of Varnak 7 and descended toward a bleak landscape. The view from the observation deck was mesmerizing and terrifying. Jagged mountains erupted from a ground shimmering with strange mineral hues. Two suns hung low on the horizon, their light filtered through swirling mists. The ship's crew remained silent as the door to the surface opened. One by one, the humans disembarked, stepping into the alien world that had been written off as a graveyard. There were no welcoming committees, no farewell ceremonies. The ship's engines flared briefly, then it was gone, leaving the exiles alone with the hostile planet. But the humans did not cower or despair. As the first night approached, they gathered in a rocky clearing. Children huddled close to their parents, scientists exchanged glances, and the engineers surveyed the environment. There was fear, of course, but beneath it was something stronger, a quiet determination. Survival isn't about strength alone, an older man said softly, his voice carrying a calm authority. It's about learning, adapting, and working together. They spread out to explore cautiously, noting the strange sounds carried by the winds, the peculiar shapes of plants that seemed to glow faintly in the dark. Instead of trying to conquer the land, they observed it carefully. Patterns emerged: the slow pulse of the ground, the rhythmic hum in the air. The planet was alive in a way they hadn't expected. While the Council and countless others had dismissed them, the humans were already beginning to understand. This world wasn't just a prison. It was a challenge, and humans thrived on challenges. Around a small fire that night, voices rose with quiet hope. They shared stories of home, dreams of the future, and plans for tomorrow. No one spoke of defeat. The galaxy might have counted them out, but on Varnak 7, the story of humanity's resilience was just beginning. The first sunrise on Varnak 7 was unlike anything the humans had ever witnessed. The twin suns cast eerie, shifting shadows over the jagged landscape, while a faint mist clung to the air, giving everything a dreamlike quality. The humans stirred from their makeshift camp, their eyes wide with both wonder and wariness. Every breath they took was a reminder of the planet's harshness. The air was thin, laced with unfamiliar minerals, and carried a faint metallic taste. Yet, instead of despair, there was a palpable sense of curiosity. The humans quickly realized that brute force or hurried escape was impossible. To survive here, they would have to become students of this strange world. Led by Dr. Maya Wren, a xenobiologist, the group set out to observe rather than conquer. Their first lesson was patience. Varnak was alive in ways no one had anticipated. The ground itself seemed to breathe, rising and falling in gentle waves, as if the planet had a heartbeat. Trees with crystalline leaves shimmered in the sunlight, their branches bending subtly toward the warmth. Strange vines emitted low-frequency vibrations, barely audible but persistent. As the days passed, the humans began to detect patterns, cycles in the planet's movements, subtle changes in the air pressure before the frequent storms, and the timing of glowing pulses from the native flora. These signs, at first mysterious, started to feel like a language, a form of communication from Varnak itself. The engineers, led by Captain Eli Voss, adapted quickly. They created simple instruments to monitor these patterns: vibration sensors, air samplers, and light detectors, helping the group to anticipate the planet's moods. With each discovery, the humans adjusted their camp and routines, sensing with Varnak's rhythm instead of fighting against it. Children became vital in this process. Their natural curiosity and keen senses detected changes adults missed. They noticed how certain plants would close their leaves moments before a sudden gust of wind, or how clusters of glowing fungi brightened when the air grew humid. The children's observations helped the adults fine-tune their understanding. One evening, while studying the pulse of a massive crystal formation, Dr. Wren noticed something extraordinary. When she gently tapped the crystal, it responded with a soft hum, almost like an echo. Soon, others joined in, experimenting with different rhythms. What started as casual play evolved into a method of communication. The planet's crystals seemed to speak back, responding to patterns and tones. That night, gathered beneath the stars, the humans marveled at their breakthrough. They weren't merely surviving. They were beginning a dialogue with Varnak. "Maybe this world isn't just hostile," Maya said thoughtfully. "Maybe it's waiting for someone who listens." Word of their discovery reached the distant galactic observers. Skeptics scoffed, but many watched with growing intrigue. For the first time, the planet classified as a Deathworld was revealing secrets, and the humans, against all odds, were the ones unlocking them. As the sun dipped below the crystalline mountains, the humans settled in, their spirits lifted by newfound hope. They had learned the first rule of survival on Varnak: to listen deeply. Tomorrow, they would learn what else the planet was willing to share. The weeks on Varnak 7 blurred into a rhythm of discovery and adaptation. The humans no longer saw the planet as an enemy, but as a mysterious partner in survival. What had seemed like endless danger now began to reveal hidden treasures, gifts that only patience and respect could uncover. Among the first surprises were the glowing fungi that dotted the shadowy forest floors. At first, they served only as natural lanterns, casting a soft blue light that pushed back the planet's long, creeping darkness. But Dr. Wren, with her scientific curiosity, soon found their deeper value. These fungi produce compounds with remarkable healing properties, she explained, holding up a small vial of extracted sap. The team began experimenting carefully, treating minor wounds and ailments. The fungus' bioactive chemicals accelerated healing and eased pain, transforming the forest into a living pharmacy. For a people cut off from their usual supplies, this was nothing short of a miracle. Meanwhile, the engineers, led by Captain Voss, turned their attention to the planet's crystal formations. The massive crystalline structures that towered over the landscape were more than geological wonders. They were natural batteries, storing and releasing energy in pulses that synced with the planet's magnetic field. Using scavenged materials from their ship and native minerals, the team fashioned rudimentary converters that could tap into this energy. It wasn't a perfect system. Sometimes the crystals would go dormant or change frequencies unexpectedly, but it provided a steady source of power. Suddenly, the humans had electricity for basic tools and communication devices, a breakthrough that lifted morale and expanded their capabilities. Even the planet's water, previously thought toxic, was revealed to have layers of purification. Slow filtration through mineral-rich rocks removed harmful elements, and native plants could extract clean moisture from the mist. By mimicking these natural processes, humans devised simple, sustainable water systems. Food, once the most daunting challenge, was also slowly being tamed. Varnak's native flora included hardy vines with edible seeds and tuber-like roots that could be harvested with minimal risk. The team began cultivating small plots, experimenting with hybridizing native plants with earth seeds they had brought in limited quantities. Growth was slow and uncertain, but every sprout was a promise of future harvests. Perhaps most astonishingly, the humans discovered a species of bioluminescent insects that fluttered like living jewels in the twilight. These insects were not only harmless but seemed curious, occasionally lingering near the human campfires. The children loved watching their gentle dances, and scientists theorized that the insects played a crucial role in pollinating some of Varnak's most vital plants. The discovery of these creatures was a symbol of the growing harmony between humans and their alien environment. They were no longer strangers on a hostile planet, but participants in a delicate ecosystem. Back in the camp, the mood was cautiously optimistic. The daily struggle for survival remained, but the humans' relationship with Varnak was transforming. They had shifted from mere victims of exile to skilled caretakers of a strange new world. "The planet is teaching us," Dr. Wren said, smiling as she examined a thriving patch of hybrid crops. "And we are learning how to thrive, not just survive." Across the galaxy, reports of their progress began to spread. What was supposed to be a death sentence was becoming a story of hope, ingenuity, and unexpected blessings. The humans on Varnak 7 were no longer just surviving. They were blossoming. As the weeks turned into months, the humans' relationship with Varnak 7 deepened, not just with the land and plants, but with its creatures. At first, the native animals had been a source of quiet fear. Strange eyes glowed in the dark, and eerie sounds echoed across the forests and valleys. The planet's ecosystem was unlike anything humans had encountered, filled with creatures that moved with both grace and mystery. Yet, rather than viewing these beings as threats, the humans chose a different path. Guided by empathy and curiosity, they began observing the creatures closely, trying to understand their habits, social structures, and communication. The children, with their natural wonder and patience, were especially adept at this. It was young Leia, a bright-eyed girl of 10, who first bridged the divide. While exploring near the edge of the forest, she spotted a large feline-like creature, majestic, with horns curling like tree branches and stripes that glowed faintly in the twilight. The creature watched her silently, its deep eyes full of intelligence, not aggression. Instead of running, Leia sat down quietly, holding out her hand with a small offering of native fruit she had gathered. The creature hesitated, then slowly approached, sniffing her palm before gently nudging it with its nose. Over time, this moment blossomed into a remarkable friendship. Leia named the creature Sarn, and soon, others in the camp encountered similar animals. Some were wary, others curious, but none were hostile once the humans showed kindness and respect. The creatures began to linger near the camp, sometimes resting on the rocky hills or weaving between the trees. Their presence was a comfort, a reminder that Varnak 7 was not a death sentence, but a living world with its own rhythms and relationships. More astonishingly, these creatures seemed to sense danger, storms, shifts in the terrain, and would alert the humans with low, resonant calls. In return, the humans shared warmth, protection, and food. Over time, a symbiotic relationship emerged, an alliance forged through mutual trust. This bond changed everything. Humans were no longer isolated exiles, but active participants in the planet's intricate web of life. They learned to travel with the creatures as guides, discovering hidden valleys, safe water sources, and fertile grounds for planting. Scientists documented the animals' behaviors, fascinated by their social complexity and emotional intelligence. These weren't just beasts. They were sentient beings with their own stories. The animals, in turn, adapted to the humans' presence, learning to understand their signals and routines. It was an unspoken agreement of respect and cooperation. Back at camp, this newfound harmony inspired the humans profoundly. The partnership brought hope and strength that no weapon or technology could provide. Survival isn't just about resources, Captain Voss reflected. It's about connection. When we reach out with understanding, even the wildest world can become home. The Galactic Council watched these developments with growing amazement. What was once seen as an inevitable tragedy was becoming a pioneering story of friendship and coexistence. On Varnak 7, humans and native creatures were proving that trust and empathy could rewrite the rules of survival, without a single act of violence. Months into their exile, the humans on Varnak 7 had learned to listen to the planet and its creatures. But survival wasn't enough. They needed to build a future, a sustainable way of life that could withstand the planet's wild moods and provide a foundation for generations to come. One morning, Captain Eli Voss called a meeting at the edge of the crystalline forest. Around the flickering campfire, engineers, scientists, and explorers gathered eagerly. "We've observed the crystals closely," Voss began, "and we believe they're natural energy stores. If we can tap into them, we could power tools, communication devices, even light up the camp without burning precious fuel." The concept was daring. The crystals pulsed with a soft hum, their energy fluctuating unpredictably with the planet's magnetic field. But the human engineers thrived on challenges. They scavenged parts from the transport ship's remains, batteries, wiring, sensors, and combined them with native minerals to fashion crude converters. The first attempts were clumsy. The crystals would surge with power one moment, then fall silent the next. But each failure was a lesson. The engineers recorded data carefully, refining their designs to better synchronize with the planet's natural rhythms. Meanwhile, the biologists continued to explore Varnak's bounty. The healing fungi had become staples in the camp's medical kits, and the hybrid crops from Earth and Varnak 7 seeds were beginning to bear fruit. The children tended gardens with pride, their laughter ringing among the alien vines. The breakthrough came one twilight when the converter hummed steadily, powering a bank of lights and charging small devices. For the first time, the camp gleamed not just with firelight, but with electric glow, a beacon in the wilderness. Energy wasn't the only victory. The humans adapted water filtration systems inspired by Varnak's natural processes. Using layers of mineral stones and plant fibers, they purified the toxic waters into safe drinking supplies. This innovation reduced dependence on limited water reserves and helped crops flourish. Their growing control over these resources allowed the humans to expand their shelter network, building sturdy dwellings designed to withstand the planet's frequent storms. These structures used local materials and the crystal's energy, blending technology and nature seamlessly. Back in the camp, Dr. Maya Wren marveled at the progress. "We're not just surviving," she told the group one evening. "We're thriving. Varnak 7 has given us everything we need, not by forcing it, but by learning its language." News of their success spread quietly through the galactic networks. What was once written off as a death sentence was becoming a blueprint for coexistence with hostile environments. Alien species, skeptical at first, began tuning into broadcasts from Varnak, captivated by the humans' innovative spirit. Captain Voss smiled one evening, watching children dance under the glow of crystal-powered lamps. "We came here as exiles," he said softly, "but this planet is becoming home." In the heart of the Deathworld, humanity had sparked a light, not just of technology, but of hope. With their new power source humming steadily and their camp glowing warmly under the twin suns, the humans on Varnak 7 turned their attention to a bold new idea: sending a message to the galaxy. It was more than a signal, it was a declaration. Dr. Maya Wren stood before a gathering of engineers and scientists in the main shelter. "We've learned so much from Varnak," she said, "and we've survived against impossible odds. Now it's time to share our story, our hope, with others." The transmitter, a patchwork of salvaged technology and native crystal converters, was painstakingly assembled over weeks. It was fragile but functional, a beacon that could cut through the vast darkness of space. The message itself was simple but powerful, a recorded statement from the entire community, mixed with images of their new home. The thriving crops, the glowing fungi, the crystal energy arrays, and the gentle native creatures who had become friends. "We want others to know," Eli Voss added, "that survival isn't about dominance or destruction. It's about understanding, respect, and collaboration. If we can thrive here, maybe other worlds can too. The night before the first broadcast, the humans gathered outside their camp, beneath the alien sky. The twin suns had set, leaving a velvet blackness dotted with stars. Children lay on the ground, eyes wide with wonder, while adults spoke in hushed tones about what lay beyond the reaches of their exile. When the moment came, Dr. Wren activated the transmitter. A pulse of light shot upward, carrying their message across the cosmos. It was a fragile thread woven into the vast tapestry of the galaxy, but one filled with determination. Back in distant star systems, curious eyes watched the broadcast. Some saw a species condemned to die, yet persevering with grace and intelligence. Others saw the beauty of a planet once deemed uninhabitable, transformed through patience and cooperation. The Galactic Council, which had sentenced the humans to exile, convened in surprise. The reports from Varnak 7 no longer spoke of despair, but of flourishing life and harmony. The humans' message challenged long-held prejudices and sparked conversations about the true meaning of resilience. Meanwhile, within the camp, hope bloomed like the hybrid crops in their gardens. Every day was a gift, every discovery a step forward. The humans had begun to see Varnak not as a prison, but as a teacher and a partner. As the message echoed through the galaxy, a quiet shift began. Other species, some long isolated by fear or prejudice, started to question their assumptions. Could hostile worlds be homes? Could exiles become pioneers? Leia, the young girl who had befriended the great feline creature, looked up at the stars each night and wondered what worlds were watching and listening. The message was more than words, it was a promise. Humanity was here, alive and learning, ready to connect and grow with the universe. The broadcast from Varnak 7 rippled through the galaxy like a pebble dropped into a still pond. The message of survival through understanding and cooperation inspired species far beyond human reach. Many watched with curiosity, some with skepticism, but a few extended hands in friendship. Months after the signal's first transmission, a small alien vessel approached the planet's orbit. It was unlike any ship humans had seen. A sleek, organic design that seemed to pulse with life itself. The visitors came not with weapons, but with open gestures and peaceful intent. Captain Eli Voss and Dr. Maya Wren prepared carefully to meet them. When the ship landed on a clearing near the human camp, the aliens emerged. Tall beings with translucent skin that shimmered softly in the twin suns' light. Their eyes reflected a gentle intelligence, and their movements were fluid and deliberate. Communication was initially challenging. The aliens spoke in musical tones, a language woven with harmony and emotion. But the humans had learned to listen in new ways, through patterns, rhythms, and shared experiences. Using the crystal arrays as translators, they began to understand the visitors' greetings. The aliens called themselves the Thalnari. They came from a planet that, like Varnak 7, had been considered inhospitable by the wider galaxy. The Thalnari had struggled for generations, learning to live in balance with their harsh environment. They had watched humanity's broadcasts and recognized a kindred spirit. "Your story is one of hope," their leader said through the crystal translator. "We too have learned that strength lies in harmony, not in conquest." The two groups shared knowledge and stories around the campfires. The Thalnari offered insights into bioengineering and energy management, teaching humans how to enhance their crystal converters and cultivate even more resilient crops. In return, the humans shared their experiences of adapting and communicating with Varnak's creatures. Children from both species played together, learning each other's games and languages. The camp became a vibrant hub of cooperation and discovery, a living symbol of what was possible when fear gave way to trust. The Galactic Council observed this unexpected alliance with cautious optimism. The tale of humanity's exile had become a beacon of new possibilities, proof that even the harshest worlds could nurture life and friendship. Yet, not all were pleased. Some factions feared that this growing alliance might upset the balance of power or challenge long-standing prejudices. But the humans and Thalneri stood united, their bond forged in shared struggle and mutual respect. As the seasons changed on Varnax 7, the planet once labeled a death world now echoed with laughter, learning, and hope. From exile and isolation had blossomed a community that might one day inspire the entire galaxy. Captain Voss looked up at the stars with a quiet smile. "We came here to survive," he said, "but we're building something far greater, a home, and maybe even a future for all." The seasons on Varnax 7 shifted with an unhurried grace, much like the humans and their new allies, the Thalneri, who had made the planet a shared home. What had started as a forced exile had transformed into a remarkable new chapter, one of hope, friendship, and possibility. With the Thalneri's guidance, the humans expanded their settlements, crafting homes that blended seamlessly into the landscape. Using bioengineered materials inspired by Varnax crystals and native plants, the shelters were strong yet alive, growing slowly like trees, adapting to the environment's needs. Crops flourished in vibrant fields, nourished by soil enriched with both earth seeds and Varnax unique minerals. The healing fungi had been cultivated on a large scale, becoming a staple for the community's health. Water purification systems ran smoothly, ensuring everyone had access to clean, safe hydration. But beyond survival, the humans and Thalneri were creating something far more profound, a culture of respect, learning, and unity. Their joint festivals celebrated the harmony between species and the lessons each had taught the other. At night, under the glittering stars, stories were shared, tales of Earth's oceans, Varnax breathing mountains, and the journeys of two species who had found kinship in the vastness of space. In the heart of this community, Dr. Maya Wren and Captain Eli Voss reflected on how far they had come. What had once seemed an impossible challenge had become a powerful example of resilience and cooperation. One day, a new transmission arrived from the Galactic Council. The message was brief but historic. The exile sentence was lifted. The Council acknowledged the humans' incredible adaptation and their role in forging new alliances. But for many on Varnax 7, the news was bittersweet. This planet, once a place of banishment, was now home, a place where they had built not just shelters but lives filled with meaning and connection. The decision was made collectively. Some would return to human space, carrying their stories and discoveries to share with the galaxy. Others would remain, guardians of this thriving world and ambassadors of hope. Laia, now a young leader among both humans and Thalneri, gazed at the twin suns setting over the crystalline forests. "We were sent here to die," she said softly, "but we chose to live, and in living, we changed everything." The message of Varnax 7 echoed across the stars. No world is truly dead when hope and understanding take root. The galaxy was vast and wild, but together, species could face its challenges, learning, growing, and building a future brighter than anyone had imagined. In the heart of a so-called death world, humanity had found its greatest strength, not in weapons or technology, but in the courage to listen, to adapt, and to trust. And so, the story of Varnax 7 became a legend of the galaxy, a testament to the power of life, unity, and hope.